Okay, so we're just doing a tiny bit of 7-3 before we head on to break. But the good thing about this is all skills that you already know. We're just kind of starting from a different set of points, okay? Number 7.3 says solve the following. So we're going to be doing a lot of solving in this section. And we're going to start by doing something called the inverse method, okay? Now, before I tell you what way to solve this, if I said, hey, here's this systems of equations, how would you go about solving this? If I hadn't given you any other instructions, what would you do? Substitute, elimination. So those are still options, but if I say that I want it done a certain method, you will not get full points unless you do it this method, okay? The way the inverse method works is we're going to use our inverse matrix, okay? I'm going to take this set of equations and I'm going to make it into a bunch of matrices, okay? I'm going to make this into matrix A times matrix X equals matrix B, okay? My matrix A is made up of the coefficients in front of all of my variables. So my first column is 1, 3. My second column is 2, -1. So my matrix A is my coefficient matrix. My matrix X is my variable matrix. So it's X and Y. And I'm actually going to make it a 2-by-1 matrix. And then my B is my solution matrix, and that's just going to be my answers. And again, that is going to be a 2-by-1 matrix. So I've got a 2-by-2. I've got a 2-by-1, and I have a 2-by-1. Yes. You can only do this by hand with 2 equations. I'll teach you how to do it in the calculator when we come back from break, but for right now, we're only doing 2 equations to do it by hand, okay? Now, you don't have to write this next part down. I'm just proving to you why we're allowed to do this. When we do our matrix multiplication, I can do matrix row by column. And if you remember when our matrix multiplication works, the middle ones cancel out and I'm left with a new 2-by-1 matrix. Or I guess if I multiply it out, we can get, I guess you can think of it as a 2-by-1. That's fine. I'm okay with that. But when you multiply those matrices, you end up getting 1 times X, which is 1X, plus 2 times Y, which is 2Y. And then if I do my bottom, I'll get 3 times X and -1 times Y. 3x minus 1y. Is that what I had up here? Yes.
I just figured out.
You figured it out? Oh, okay. Oof. Yeah. Well, that being said, we've done matrix multiplication before. Are you guys good with me going from this equations into that matrix form now? So you did not have to write any of this out. I'm actually going to erase this because I'm not using it to prove anything. All I'm doing is just showing you that's why I'm allowed to write it this way. The method that we're using today, our inverse method, means that we are now going to get our X matrix alone, and you can move the A matrix by multiplying by its inverse on both sides. Okay, so we're basically going to have our XY matrix is going to be equal to whatever the inverse of matrix A is times matrix B. What? Matrix X stays the same spot. We moved matrix A by doing the inverse of it. We're going to find that in a second. And then we'll find our final answer by multiplying inverse of A times B. Okay. I left a space for that because we're going to do that work down here. You guys remember how to find the inverse of a matrix, right? What do I do first?
Switch the A and D.
Good. We can switch our A and our D. So I go -1, 1. What happens to B and C?
Negatives.
Negatives. Now, before I use this, I have to find something that goes out here. What goes out there? The determinant. Good. My determinant. And how did I find my determinant? Good. 1 times -1 minus 2 times 3. And so that's going to be -1 minus 6, which is -7. Move this guy over a tiny bit. So I'm going to go 1 over -7. Very good, John. Good.
It's determinant AD minus BC, essentially.
Do you remember when I told you that and it was in our notes?
Yeah.
Yep, right here.
Yeah.
It's almost like I read it on the board.
Oh,
But good, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're with this person, however long it takes. I'm glad we made it. All right, now we distribute this -1/7 to everything. And again, I want you to fight to keep the fractions out. So that gives me -1/7, 2/7, 3/7, and then, oh, that first one shouldn't have been negative. It should be positive. My fault, my fault.
I'm here, so.
You're with me? Perfect. Now I'm going to go ahead and put that up here in my inverse matrix spot, okay? So I'm going to put 1/7, 2/7, 3/7, -1/7. Sorry, I know that got kind of messy there. And we're going to multiply that by 8/3, okay? So I'm going to do 1/7 times 8. As much as you want to make that a decimal, make it a fraction. That's 8/7 plus 2/7 times 3, which is 6/7. You might see where we're going. Just pause for me. Let's go to the bottom row. 3/7 times 8 is 24/7. And then -1/7 times 3 is -3 plus -3/7. Or you could say -3/7. Now let's add them. What's 8/7 plus 6/7? What is 14/7? 2. So my answer is 2. What's 24/7 plus -3/7? 3. Nope, positive. So x, y is equal to 2, 3. So x is equal to 2 and y is equal to 3.
Wow.
Wow.
I just watched that whole thing with that.
What happened here is we had to, I want you to make sure that you write this equation out first. I need to see ax equals b. Then I need you to find the inverse matrix, however you want to do that. And then we'll multiply it out to find our final answer. Okay. So the last thing we're going to do is just another one just like it. So I'm going to be a little quiet and I want you to see what you can do without me. I'm going to need a smaller
For B,
Yep, we're going to do B the exact same method.
Jackson?
The exact same method. So start by doing ax equals b. Write those matrices.
And is A always gonna be 2 by 2?
Yes. When we do this by hand, it will always be a 2 by 2.
7B.
B is always made 2 by 1.
What you got?
You could plug your answers in for x and y, and they should equal. So, like, if you plugged in your x and your y in there, it should equal 1.
Oh, okay. Let's see what you're saying.
kind of a funny fraction on this one. Not bad, right? I thought since we knew all the pieces on this, it was an easy, like, right before spring break learn. And I know we're gonna have to review it, but because this was still pretty fresh in our heads, and then because I think you guys worked so hard for your quiz, that this will be an easy remembering when we come back. Okay. All right, that's all I wanted to do today. Everybody good with what we're doing with what's going on? Okay. I'm gonna turn off the video.